Chapter 69. Payton. It is 6 days after Kit's death when we gain the courage to gather the stack of bloody letters. Most are unmaimed by the king's death, having shied into a dark corner of his desk drawer. Ink smears across the pages of some while blood stains the others, leaving words to gasp beneath the large splotches. Each letter plucks apart a different piece of Kit, some anger and grief, others calculating or lonely. Not all are addressed to someone. Most are just a scribble of consciousness or spillage of emotion. But there is no shortage of tears. Kai weeps for his brother. I weep briefly for the boy I used to know. Kit Azar was at war with himself, the pen his weapon and the parchment his foe. The battle that raged behind his eyes was one he fought alone until the very end. The brothers are lost without each other. Kit, because his enforcer is no longer his, and Kai, because his king has died in his arms. So he weeps. Kit is gone, and a piece of Kai with him.
Father is still dead. She killed him. I'm not sure what else to say or write or do. I can still see his severed neck when I shut my eyes so I don't sleep. Payton is gone. The girl I trusted is now a traitor to the crown. A killer. And I am angry. Why am I so angry? He never loved me. But he died before I got the chance to make him.
This line is stricken.
I'm sending my enforcer after her. I don't think he likes when I call him that. We haven't spoken since the moment I kneeled in the mud at Father's side. I feel something fraying inside me. Maybe it's my sanity. Payton, did you watch the light leave his eyes? Those are my eyes. But you knew that. I am angry. But you knew that. And yet part of me is still trying to hate you. But you knew that.
This line is stricken.
My enforcer is coming for you. Run. They buried the king. Made me the next one. I haven't left the study in days. I'm not sure I've spoken to anything but paper in days. Servants gossip beneath my window. I dump my food there to give them something else to talk about.
This line is stricken.
Everyone thinks I've gone mad. And maybe I have. Maybe I always was. Kai does not mourn. I see the concern on his face whenever our eyes meet, like he's trying to understand why it is I grieve. He will never know what it means to be a failure. Father loved power, and that is what he saw in my brother. But me? I was meek, kind. Nothing like the heir he hoped for. A disappointment. I'm tired of grieving. What did he ever do to earn my love? Was it commanded of me? I only know what to do when he is asked it of me, and he did not tell me to feel. No. I did too much of that, too kind, too weak, too soft, too unlike Kai. I'm sick of mourning. I've been mourning the lack of his love all my life. Everything was for him. All that I am and all I am becoming. A father, king, you. You. All of this is for you. Can you see that from beneath the 6 feet of dirt that separates us? Is this need for your love too weak for you? If you are shouting up at me, you'll have to speak up, Father.
This line is stricken.
Power is what you have always wanted from me. So I'll become it. Callum found me, just as I figured he would. Brave, benevolent, brutal. He told me of his plan to continue my father's work. I was reminded once again of when the king told me of his hope for a truly elite Ilya. It all seemed so simple-minded, so lowly, for a man who expected perfection from his sons. For so many years, I hoped that something great was to come from his lack of love. But Father's obsession with ordinaries has brought him to his knees. Callum tells me to marry Peyton Gray, my father's killer. She will draw the remaining ordinaries out of hiding. Her reign will be a ploy to discreetly rid Ilya of the weak. But I want so much more. I found Father's letter to me. He wishes for me to fulfill his plans, carry on ridding the kingdom of ordinaries. And I might have done just that. Might have followed in his footsteps, hoping to please him in death. But then I learned the truth. Elites could be made, and I could rule over all of them. With an ordinary as queen, the kingdoms will open their borders to us. It won't be difficult to smuggle the plague into each city with laced resources. And when a new wave of elites is born, I will be their king. I will be great. I will prove myself to Father.
This line is stricken.
I will be so much greater than him. Brother, when was the last time I called you that? It's strange not sparring with you in the mornings, or visiting Gail to see who can get away with snatching the most food from behind her back. I miss us. No titles, no duties. You left for your mission 2 days ago, and I can't help but wonder if you will return. Do you love this version of me enough? Is that even fair to ask? You were supposed to be loyal to me.
This line is stricken.
I am going to be better for you, for us. No one has ever loved me like you. I need you to make me whole again. You, Kai. I was harsh when you left, I know. But just come home and punish me for it in the training ring. Come home and give me another chance at being your brother. Or perhaps she is where your loyalties lie.
This line is stricken.
We are going to change, Ilya, brother. You and me. Always. Callum has agreed to my plan. The surrounding kingdoms must open their borders at the welcoming of ordinaries and the engagement to Peyton Gray. As much as I wish to rip her from our lives, Callum pointed out the sway she holds within the slums. I only need her on the throne as a symbol to the cities, so they will lower their guards against us. That is, until the plague rids us of her. Everything fell apart when she stumbled into our lives. She killed my father, stole my brother. Even now, the traitor is likely tugging Kai back into her arms. But I need her for a little while longer. And then I'll have my brother back. I took a dose of the plague. Maybe it was a mistake. I read in Father's letter how he gave a dose to Ava when she was born. He was so terrified of having a weak child that he did anything he could to prevent it. But Ava was only a child. she could not survive the sickness. When I told the scholars of my plans for Ilya, they adamantly informed me that there was not enough research done on what would happen to an elite who took another portion of the plague. So I became their test subject before they could object. Now they are forced to do everything they can to keep me alive. I haven't told Kai about the truth of Ava's death, about anything really, but I will survive this plague. I have to. I have to be great. Father always thought I was too soft, too weak. Now, I will be far more powerful than he ever was. I only need to live. Kai, you should be back by now. Did you run away with her? Did you abandon our forever for a chance at one with our father's murderer? You still love her, don't you?
This line is stricken.
Don't you see how she draws us apart? She ruined us. Come home, please. All will be as it once was. The scholars are fighting me. They want to hoard our abilities like the kings before had. The healers monitor me closely, waiting for the first signs of sickness, and whether or not I will survive it. I force them all to fall in line with my plan. I am not the kings before. My enforcer is back with my betrothed. He brought her back to me. Perhaps his loyalty still resides with me. Perhaps I've misjudged his feelings for Peyton. Ridding her from our lives may be easier than I thought. The court was shocked by my decree. The people must welcome ordinaries into Ilya so the surrounding cities will welcome us. They have yet to discover how great I will make this kingdom, how far I will stretch our borders. Peyton let me slip that ring onto her finger because she hopes for united Ilya. But I will unite far more than Ilya. Every city inked onto our maps, from the shallows to the scorches, will be ours. For my own legacy, for my brother, for us. The bombing at the parade was unpleasant, but effective. Easel pushed for Peyton to prove herself to the kingdom by entering another set of trials, just like I'd planned. I want her gone, and the people want a distraction. But she will be of use to me if she lives to see her second trial. I will have Peyton sail to Isram and leave behind a crate of roses laced with the plague. If my bandits kill her before then, I will start with Dor. I'm coughing now, but I do my best to hide it. I don't want Kai to worry. Several healers and scholars document my progress daily. Foul-tasting herbs are forced down my throat in the hopes that they will aid my chances of survival. Nothing is stronger than a woman who is told she's weak. Something has changed in Peyton. These trials have only empowered her. Part of me almost wants to admire her resilience. We have spent several civil moments together. All while I bite my tongue and smother my feelings. I was wrong to think Kai abandoned his love for her. The two are closer than ever, and I am the one who drove them together. I see the way my brother looks at her, devotion slipping beneath the mask of stoicism Father taught him to wear. I think Kai worries that I still have feelings for Peyton, that I push her away in consideration of him. Let him think what he must. But anything I felt for Peyton Gray died when my father did. When she betrayed me like I believed she never would. I want her gone. I can feel Kai slipping away from me by the day. He will choose her. I know he will. And I will not lose my brother. I found my mother's jewelry box. It was the first time I went into her chamber. For years, I wondered what was behind that door. Now I know that it is only memory. The room is dusty, forgotten, stagnant. There are hardly any remnants of the woman I would have called mother. Only that wooden box of her most prized possessions. But it was the notes I found inside that were most intriguing. And then they were worrying. It took me several minutes to recognize whose handwriting decorated them. The anger followed quickly after. If Callum was intimate with my mother, I have no way of knowing if I am the rightful heir. That knowledge belongs to the mind reader alone. Even the mere possibility of him being my father makes him a liability. He may have to be dealt with. Peyton. In truth, you're not an easy individual to hate. I wouldn't even say my feelings towards you are so strong. They are rather indifferent. There was once a time when Peyton Gray had both the princes wrapped around her finger. But that was before she betrayed me and killed my father. I don't take it personally, really. Not anymore. In fact, you freed me from the man who was only ever holding me back. I found something else to chase, obsess over, as I often do. And you are helping me. For that, I am thankful. But please do not take offense to the inevitable demise I will let you meet. This legacy, this life, was only ever meant for my brother and me to share. And I will not share him with you. When the time comes, I will ensure the kingdom mourns you. You have my word. I don't wish to be your monster, Peyton. Part of me still cares for you, but I only know how to love my brother. I steal moments with Kai whenever I'm able. He keeps me stable. I feel like myself when I'm with him, even as the plague begins eating away at my sanity. I only wish to return things to the way they were before her. His feelings for my betrothed are not ideal, but he will come to see her as the threat she is to us. I just want my brother back. I want greatness. Is that too much to ask for? The plague has made me weak, dulled my mind. Anger is now an emotion that belongs to the plague. I feel it wash over me like a wave I cannot control. Kai soothes that fraying part of myself, but Peyton unleashes it. It feels good getting drunk with my brother again. Peyton is there. Peyton is always there. But it is bearable when Kai is around. I can be myself, be with him. The plague allows me that. I enjoy the time with my brother. And deep down, I enjoy the little time I have left with Peyton. They set sail for Isram today. I may never see my brother again. Doesn't he realize this is all for him, for us? He was never meant to sail over the treacherous waters, but he is in love with her. He will do anything for her because he loves her more than he loves me.
This line is stricken.
I just need him to come home. Sending Peyton to Isram was partially with the hope that she wouldn't return. I discreetly informed the captain that dumping her from the ship was an option, if his men so desired. But with Kai on board, he will ensure that Peyton makes it home in one piece, or neither of them will. Though the true purpose of her journey is to gift Isram a crate of laced roses. They will be the first to endure the plague. But in time, they will thank me for it. If the sea allows Peyton to meet Quinzila, her trial still stands. I need her to convince the stubborn woman to accept our peace offering, and I need Kai to come home. I don't know what I will be when he returns. The royal physicians are worried. My mind is drifting. My body is weak. But I am going to live. I cannot die before I am better than him.
This line is stricken.
I am going to live. Unlike my father, I do not need Callum to help carry out my plans. Fear festers when I am around him. All rooted in my unknown legitimacy. I should simply dispose of him. It is as though paranoia has planted a seed in my mind that grows by the day. I don't feel right. My mind is slipping, and it is not just the plague at fault. I have piled so much pressure on my shoulders that...
This line is stricken.
No. Father has done this to me. It is because of him that I am this way. Obsessive, controlling, in constant need of approval. My mind is not my own. Maybe it never was. I don't want to be a monster. I don't want Kai to see me as one. My ship arrived at the dock in shambles. It is a miracle that they survived the sea and its creatures. But my gift was accepted. My brother is back, and what is left of me is here to greet him. I'm coughing up blood now. Another fun side effect of the plague. I have lost weight rapidly, and I can't remember the last time I slept through the night. Kai is worried about me. He knows I am not myself. I watched my brother die yesterday. Beneath the illusion, his name was Makoto Kitan. Callum told me how he found a wielder outside the bowl after that third purging trial. How his mind screamed of grief and rage for the seamstress who was killed. But it was Peyton he blamed for her being there in the first place. So I offered him a chance at revenge. Ironically, I used the tunnels to sneak out into the bowl, then down the path towards loot. I needed one final push for Ilya to fall into line. Accept my changes to the kingdom. But I would not risk throwing Kai into that bowl. Because I know he would let Peyton kill him. Because my brother would die to save her, not kill her to live with me.
This line is stricken.
Makoto agreed to fight Peyton. But the hefty sum I paid him to put on a good show was futile. He didn't leave the arena alive. Peyton Gray has a way of making people care about her. There are holes in my memory. I ignored it at first, but now I think the healers are right. The plague is eating away at me, my mind. Peyton Gray is the daughter of Iris Moira. She is an illegitimate child, and I could not risk being found out as the same. So what she told me, what she learned from Callum, how she believed him to be a duel, I went along with her theory. Callum could read the apology in my mind before I shoved my sword through his chest. It was nothing personal. Truly. But I refused to be reduced to a bastard. Not after everything I have endured, everything I have planned for Ilya. They bowed before her. All of the slums. She has a claim to the throne, and I won't let her overthrow me. I need this. Doesn't she know I need this? She has already achieved greatness in my trials. This is mine. I need this legacy. I need her gone. I need to be great.
Chapter 70. Payton. Kai didn't move from Kit's side until his body grew cold. Even then, it took 3 Imperials to pull him from the pool of blood. He let them, of course, unlike the dozens prior who dared drag the enforcer from his grief before the sun rose timidly through the study's window. Rays of light stroked over Kit's still body, memorializing the sickening scene as though it were a painting. Kit, a canvas of scarlet streaks. For as long as Kai kept Kit company, so did I. By the time our aching knees rose from the worn rug, blood was crusted atop our skin and caked into our hair. I followed Kai numbly to his rooms and filled the tub with steaming water. He didn't fight me when I peeled off his soiled clothes or urged him into the bath. His eyes were distant, hollow, but they were on me, and that was something. I lathered a bar of soap across his skin, smelling so distinctly of pine and the man I fell in love with. With a soft sponge, I scrub at every patch of hardened blood. His eyes never strayed from mine, shutting only when I softly asked it of him while wiping the stained face of sorrow itself. He didn't stand from the tub when I finally lowered the sponge. Instead, he moved with an intent I hadn't seen in half a day. Water dripped from his arms as he unbuttoned the back of my dress. As soon as it had slipped down my body and into a puddle of fabric on the floor, he pulled me into the tub. He wouldn't let me touch the sponge. The fearsome enforcer of Ilya swiped every speck of his brother's blood from my skin. It was the gentleness with which he loved, even when he grieved, that made me break. We held each other, weeping for a brother, a broken boy, a loss to the world. Our bodies shook, tears rolling down the shoulders we clung to. Though Kit was not mine to grieve. In the end, he was a shell of the boy I once knew, one who saw me as an obstacle to overcome. But I did not resent him. Rather, I ached for the brother who Kai had lost, not the king with a broken mind. I ached for Kai as though his grief were my own. So when the water had gone cold and each breath began to slow, Kai spoke his first words since Kit uttered his last. "Thank you." The second day after the king's death was arguably the hardest. All of Ilya had learned of the kind ruler's cruel death. It was advertised as a tragic accident, though the people searched for a more exciting tale to tell. Rumors rippled through the kingdom, every mouth speculating how Kit had met his end in order to fill the void of withheld truth. They would likely wonder for years to come, and still we would not tell them. Kit, even in death, was to remain the kind king he was always meant to be. Kai pulled his grief back like a tide, hauling it in long enough to panic over the gift we had left in Isram. The crate of roses was likely opened weeks ago to loose a plague on the entire city. But before we were given the chance to spiral further, a letter was found wedged beneath the castle's towering front doors. In neat, elegant writing, it read, I do hope it was not you, Peyton Gray, who attempted to infect my kingdom. This is said in jest, as I knew you truthfully believed the roses to be a gift. No matter. I sensed what awaited in that box before you ever stepped foot off my docks. Alas, I have little use for your plague, but I suppose your king thinks differently. Perhaps he should have tried polluting another kingdom. Then again, I hear he is no longer with us. My condolences. Any further attempts to infect my people will result in an unpleasant retaliation. Do not take my overlooking of this crime as a sign of weakness. I know the laced roses were not your doing, but I do wish for us to have a fruitful relationship. Your fellow queen, Z. I promptly looked over at Kai. How the hell did she know? We spent the rest of that day receiving condolences from the grieving castle. Without a plagued kingdom to worry about, Kai strode stiffly through the hall, his gaze vacant and words scarce. The entire palace had been draped in a sheet of darkness, black curtains covering windows, while black clothing draped every body. Scholars nipped at our heels like shadows, calling after Kai to discuss his coronation. I am not king until Kit is laid to rest, he would say, more toneless than the time before. I knew that he meant it, just like I knew that he was stalling. He did not wish to be king. We spent that night in the arms of those closest to Kai. My boy, Gail had wailed when he walked into her kitchen. My sweet boy.
You've been listening so attentively. Now, let your body relax and your heart settle as the music gently unfolds.
Heart racing, we're on the prowl. In the dark, we're not backing down. In the dark, we're not backing down. Whispers in my ear, you're taking control. I can't resist, you got me in a hole. I can't resist, you got me in a hole. Fingers tracing, you're leading the way. I love this feeling, I can't help but stay. Love this feeling, I'll just stay. Fingers tracing, lead the way.
She held him long enough to burn what food simmered on the stove, and cried hard enough that she didn't care. Jax sobbed against his brother's chest, mourning the loss of their other half. It was when he started hiccuping that Andy joined, her body shaking with sobs. A few traitorous tears had escaped my burning eyes before Gail pulled me in and wrapped her arms around us all. The third and fourth day were more of the same. Berating scholars, a castle in mourning, gossiping Ilians, grief, tears, sobs. When we could stomach the conversation, solemn healers circled us in a dim room to swap hushed details of the king's slow demise. They spoke of his insistence on taking the plague, despite knowing the ramifications, then more hesitantly of his unraveling mind soon after. He was easily agitated, often caught speaking to the empty air or wandering around at all hours of the night. Kit was dying long before he forgot to dodge his brother's advance, we discover. The healers could not save him, and suddenly, this makes sense after learning the truth of Elite's limitations. His body was rejecting another dose of the plague. It was only a matter of time until the sickness unraveled all that he was. Within the long stretches of sorrow, we spent much of our time in the study, simply staring at everything exactly as he left it. All but the bloodied rug remained. Jax and Andy would sit with us, partly in silence, but occasionally more boldly in reminiscence. They would swap memories, each one bleeding into the last and lending a smile for fleeting moments. And that was something. By the fifth day, that emptiness occupying Kai's gaze had lessened slightly. Still, we held each other, just as we had for the past several days, and when he pulled away, he spoke soft gratitude against my skin. Thank you, Pei, for everything. I would smile. It was always sad. It no longer surprises me when you say that. Good. His nose brushed mine. I want you to grow so used to my gratitude that you're sick of it. That night, I slipped the wedding ring from my finger. And on the 6th day after Kit's death, we read his letters.
Chapter 71. Kai. Dirt smears my sweaty face. The shovel is slick in my hands, peppering each palm with splinters. Dusk settles behind the willow's swaying arms as I carve out a patch of earth among its roots. Fresh soil piles beside me. Memories surface with each scoop of the shovel. Kit was with me the last time I dug a grave beneath this tree. He was at my side, shovel in hand, and a muddy face mirroring mine. We reminisced about Ava until our laughter turned to tears. Ava. Her death was the doing of a man I called father. All because of Edric Azur's greed for power. He killed my sister with a dose of the plague. He killed my brother with the need to be great. My vision blurs. I blink past the anger and grief and urge to crawl into this grave myself. My brother is dead. The shovel slips from between my fingers to land in a cushion of dirt. My knees sink into the damp grass, shoulders shaking with the weight of grief atop them. His letters are fresh in my mind, each of them a stab in the gut before breakfast this morning. I wasn't there to protect him from his own thoughts, from the need for greatness that swallowed him whole. He was breaking before my very eyes, tearing at the seams from something more sinister than the stresses of being king. I'm reminded of that odd shift in his power and curse myself for dismissing the feeling. Kit's ability was the first I ever felt, one so familiar I could taste it on my tongue. But still, I failed him. He had become a pawn to power, and I should have recognized myself in his gaze. He took the plague to be more. And I wasn't there to tell him he was enough. I hear the footsteps behind me. She wanted me to hear them. The familiar warmth of her embrace wraps around me from behind, holding together the broken pieces I've become. I stare at the shallow grave, allowing a tear to escape my empty gaze. He's gone. He's gone. I'm right here. She whispers in my ear. I've got you. I turn slowly in her arms, watching that beautiful face come into view. Peyton's eyes swim with tears just as they have for days. For me. There is only so much grief she can have for the man who wished to kill her. No, this hurt is for me. My eyes fall to the shovel at her side. Managing a sad smile, I lift dirt-stained fingers to her face. Have you come to help me dig, darling? You've dug enough graves for me, she breathes. I figured I would repay the favor. My sob is part laugh. I don't know how I would survive this without you. Well, never again will you have to survive anything alone. Her gaze grows determined. Cockroach, remember? I shake my head, forever astounded by her. No, you are strength, life itself. That is why death fears you. All I do is fear death, she corrects. Fear losing you. It hurts to smile. Death knows better than to try and drag me from you. We hold each other in our gazes, gentle but sure. Sniffling, she stares down at the shovel she brought and clears a tightening throat. Once he's buried, they will make you king. So, let's sit here a little longer, I mutter. Please. We do. Leaves rustle all around us as I breathe in the smell of freshly turned soil. Peyton leans back on her palms, eyes shutting when a soft breeze whispers through her hair. Chattering birds muffle the stream of screaming thoughts in my head for a few blissful minutes. You will make a great king. The reminder of my looming future shatters the short-lived peace. That was supposed to be Kit, not me. My head falls into shaking hands. But he was so focused on his father, on greatness. His father, not mine. Perhaps not even before I discovered the truth of my birth. That king was never my family. Distantly, beneath the growing ache of grief weighing on my chest, I wonder for the man meant to be my father. Perhaps he wasn't worth knowing. Perhaps I'll find out for myself one day. Kit was obsessive. Peyton gnaws on her lower lip. Sick with the plague. He tried to kill you, I say numbly. He wasn't himself. I don't blame him for it. I killed him. I barely hear her words. It wasn't your fault. He was already dying, Kai. The healers told us so. I still killed him, Peyton. My voice breaks. I killed my brother. She hooks her arms around my neck, pulling my shaking body against her own. Shh. It's not your fault, Kai. I bury my face into her scar. I couldn't save him. I told him I would save him. My voice is choked. That formidable power running through my veins had failed. He was supposed to dodge. We were supposed to keep our promise. You will, she whispers. You'll see him again. Just like I will see my father, Adina, back. There are tears in her eyes when she pulls away to clutch my face. Your promises are not broken. They're just awaiting you. I can hardly breathe. I need him, Pei. I need my brother. Shh. I can't do this without him. Shh, I'm right here. I did this to him. Each sob is a painful shake of my body. I couldn't save him. I couldn't save my brother. Peyton holds me until grief's tide pulls away long enough for me to catch my breath. This is not the first time she has saved me from drowning. A shovel is quickly pushed into my hand, followed by a string of stern words. It's time for Kit to rest. A weight seems to lift from my chest. Rest, not death. He is at peace, and that is all I have ever wanted from my brother. Stiffly, I stand to my feet, pulling Peyton up with me. My shovel meets the torn earth beside us. I push through the pain still lingering in my voice. Think you can keep up, Gray? Are you seriously making this a competition? I plunge steel into the ground, freeing dirt from the base of Ava's willow. Kit always had a knack for making anything enjoyable. My lips twitch into a smile I force myself to find just for him. I figured he would want his death to be no different. Her grin has my heart stuttering back to life. Then you better start digging, Azar.
Chapter 72. Peyton. My arm strains against the taut bow. We stand in the very same spot we had during the purging trials, facing a fated target and competing for bragging rights. It's been nearly 2 days since Kai buried his brother beneath the willow tree, and this is one of the many distractions I've forced upon him. There was a quiet walk through the garden, interrupted only by the occasional reminiscence of the boy buried so near. Our trip to the kitchen was filled with soft laughter and warm sticky buns. Jax sought comfort in his brother's arms, while Gale kissed the top of Kai's head. I've urged him to write like Kit had, relieve his mind of the many swirling thoughts within. His hands are still stained with ink. Every night has been spent in a pool of moonlight. Blankets litter the floor of my room, layered into a makeshift cot beneath the row of windows. Kai prefers it this way, and I happily oblige. It is as though we have created our own little fort to feel closer to those we have lost. We hold each other before drifting into the nightmares that plague us, but with each sleepy sun that peers down on us, Kai wakes more like himself. I let the arrow fly, allow myself a smug smile when it sinks just beside the bullseye. This is my latest distraction for the future king. I would understand if you wished to forfeit now, I offer. Kai's fingers brush mine as he pulls the bow from my grip. Don't play nice, darling. I can handle losing to you. I raise a brow. Did you already admit defeat? His lips twitch. He looses an arrow quickly, unfazed by the several inches separating it from the center of the target. This is meant to be a distraction, is it not? So I don't need to win. I swallow when he steps into me. I just want to enjoy it. Normally I would scoff at his arrogance, but I've missed it enough to settle on a slight tilt of my head. And what is there to enjoy in losing, Malachi? That, his dimples steal my breath away. Your company, your taunting, your lips forming my name. I knock an arrow. I don't need to be winning to insult you. With a deep breath, I fire. No, Kai says slowly, but you need to be winning to smile like that. I realize then that I'm beaming at the bullseye I've struck. Taming the triumph on my features, I turn towards the seemingly casual Kai. His hands are tucked loosely in his pockets, hair tousled, and eyes bright in the fading sunlight. He is beautiful. The thought isn't a surprise, and yet I'm unable to tear my gaze from him. Such stoic strength seeps from him like the shadow clinging to his heels. This is a boy who has known little more than hardship his whole life, wounded by the man who raised him and left by the brother who loved him. The brother who hated me. What is it? Kai's voice is laced with concern. Frustrated, I wipe at the emotion welling in my eyes. It's nothing. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a distraction for you and... Talk to me, Pei, Kai urges. He pries the bow from my sweaty hand before tossing it aside. I shake my head. It's just... I hate that he hated me. He didn't. He wasn't himself, and you were just... His gray gaze falls from my face. In his way. That gnawing numbness I've suppressed over the past several days comes rushing to the surface. I cared for him, and this is all my fault. No. We read his letters. Kai grasps my hands. You know what he said in that study. None of this was your fault. Kit was sick, both physically and mentally. He only wanted to prove himself. His voice grows rougher with every word. Did I make him feel that way? Why did he take that plague? Did he think I needed him to be anything more? No, Kai. I cut off the dangerous thought before it can fester. He wanted you at his side because you never made him feel inferior. You were the good in his life, the anchor he clung to. Kit was the good brother, Kai murmurs. Not me. Good, bad, I shrug a shoulder. We are all just shadows of what we believe to be true. Kai's scoff is pained. Kit certainly believed in something. And you? I prod. What does the future king of Ilia believe in? He ponders this for a moment. The inevitable. You? His fingers tickle my cheek on their way to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear. I think we got it wrong, Endor. You are the flame, and I am the shadow falling at your feet. Eventually, we fire the rest of our arrows at that target. Unsurprisingly, I gloat thoroughly at my predestined victory. Delicately, We visit the willow tree and those buried peacefully beneath. Admittedly, I fail to be a diversion from Kit's death. Foolishly, a poet tells me I am never not his distraction.
Chapter 73. Kai. There is still dirt under my nails when the crown is placed on my head. It is a silver tangle of steel, sharp and swirling among my black hair. Kit's golden crown remains with him, still gently resting on his brow beneath the willow tree's base. I stare out at the court from the very dais my brother once stood upon. But, startlingly, I don't feel that gaping absence of him anymore. No. He stands at my side, a warm hand on my shoulder and smile in my very soul. From enforcer to king, monster to redeemed. I will continue what my brother started. I informed the court, though they hadn't known the truth of his plans, and they never will. I have a promise to keep. My first decree is steady and sure. Our borders will remain open. Ordinaries will be welcomed into our city once again. Together, we will rebuild Ilia like Kit wished. I swallow the lump in my throat. And he will be remembered as the greatest king in our history. The throne room echoes with applause, but my eyes are on her. I step from the stage, pushing through my people until I meet the only one I truly wish to call mine. Hand in hand, I pull Payden out the castle doors and into the courtyard beyond. That bed of forget-me-not flowers still blooms beside the staircase, family to the one I tucked behind her ear so long ago. And I gladly repeat history now. Pei laughs as I present her with the bouquet, the petals matching her piercing blue gaze. Forget-me-nots. I slide a stem into her hair. Because you always seem to be forgetting who I am. She smiles, and I wonder at how something can be so perfect. You're the king of Ilia. And what am I to you? I tip her chin so I can watch the words form on her lips. My fool. My fingers flick the tip of her nose lightly. Don't forget, cocky bastard. You wouldn't let me even if I tried, she says sweetly. I grin, wider when her eyes flick greedily between my dimples. And you are forever my undoing, Payden Gray. My knee meets the cobblestone, and her mouth opens in a gasp. Marry me, Pay. I'm already on one knee, but I'll get down on both and beg for you if you like. I lift that ring towards her, the one Kit pressed into my palm with a dying wish. Love each other for me. Tears well in those blue eyes above. She knows of Kit's final moments, every word uttered, every hope laid bare. Now the sight of that familiar ring is freeing. I can see the flood of relief washing over her features because Kit Azar, the boy she cared so deeply for, did not hate her in the end. The hurt she felt when he aimed a sword at her chest has begun to melt away beneath the truth of his motives. Pay, I breathe. I'll kneel here all day long, so long as your answer is yes. A hand falls from her mouth to reveal a wide grin. Good. I quite like the sight of you beneath me. Oh, vicious little thing, I murmur with all the admiration she deserves. Her voice grows choked as she spits my own words back at me. You forgot the "my" in front of that endearing nickname. And then she is falling to her knees before me. Her hands shake against my face before a pair of smiling lips have found mine. She kisses me like forever is fleeting in the face of this moment. My hand finds her hair, tangling in the uneven strands I'd cut in that cave. Her lips taste of love and longing, and I beg for more. Is this? I kiss her deeply. Is this a yes? She laughs against my lips. This is inevitable. I slip Kit's gold band onto her thumb, opposite that steel ring of her father's. I'll get you something better. No, she insists. Her eyes shine as they take in the rings hugging each thumb. It's perfect. This is perfect. Good. My rough palms graze the sides of her neck. Because I love you, Peyton Gray. And I will happily spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you. I love you, she says, suddenly stern. And I will spend the rest of my life shouting it until even Astrum hears, because it is death who should fear me if he ever tries to take you away. We hold each other atop that uneven cobblestone. Forget-me-nots blow in the warm breeze, encircling us in a hug that feels like our past meeting our forever. Tears sting my eyes for the bittersweetness of this moment. Peyton Gray is finally mine, but only because my brother is no longer here. We will love for him, she whispers in my ear. A tear slips down my cheek. You and me.
Chapter 74. Peyton. I dream of Adina on the eve of my wedding. Kai has slept at my side every night since slipping that ring onto my thumb, warding off a month's worth of nightmares. But tradition chases him from my chambers on the eve of our union, and I am left to my hauntings alone. When Adina takes my hand, I feel the faintest tug of fear in my drifting body. I had hidden from this nightmare, shielded myself behind Kai's comfort because I couldn't bear to watch Adina die all over again. But that is not this dream. What lurks within my resting mind is something sweet, soft, so like the Adina who once lived and breathed that I awake with tears staining my cheeks. It is all a hazy memory when the sun pries my heavy eyelids open, but I remember the feeling Adina left me with. Peace. I had said goodbye, or rather, a good way to say bye until I see my A next. Ellie alone helps me prepare for my final, inevitable wedding. Dark clouds crowd the sky beyond my windows, threatening rain with an angry rumble. This only makes me smile. It's good to see you happy on your wedding day, Ellie says softly. Her fingers thread through my hair to weave thin braids within it. They hang down among my wavy hair, elegant in its simplicity. I gnaw on my lip to busy my smile. This is what I've wanted for longer than I even realized, and I'm letting myself enjoy it. You should enjoy it, Ellie reassures. You both deserve that. My smile is tainted with the sadness that typically accompanies thoughts of Kit, but my grief resides with the boy he was and the brother he left behind. Despite Kai's resilience over the past several weeks, I know that he wishes to celebrate today with Kit, just as I wish to with Adina. Stepping behind the dressing curtain, I slip into a simple stretch of fabric. The gown is made up of a thin, billowing material that lands just above my ankles. Its strapless bodice hugs me closely before white fabric cascades from my waist. There is little about the dress that makes it particularly interesting, and that is exactly why I chose it. Adina's vest captures the attention, its faded olive fabric snug around my bare shoulders. After days of a seamstress painstakingly mending it, I'm eager to be reunited with my piece of Adina. I stand before the mirror and admire precisely what I had always envisioned for my wedding day. This moment couldn't be more different than the one I had stolen before marrying a man I didn't love. Then, panic prickled my heart and crowded my mind. Now, I'm glowing with happiness, flooded with peace. I've already done the grand wedding day and want nothing of the sort. I simply want our day. A confident knock at the door has my gaze flicking to Ellie. She reciprocates my confusion before peeking into the hallway with a soft gasp falling from her lips. Your Majesty, it's bad luck to see. Bad luck is far less concerning than pay is with an empty stomach and a dagger in hand. Annoyingly, my lips twitch into a smile. If you're afraid of me, Azur, just say so. Kai's voice is touched with awe on the other side of my door. You know I would be a fool not to be, darling. I have to plant my feet to keep from running to him. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, Ellie sympathizes through the cracked door. You really shouldn't see her until the wedding. There is a grin burrowed between his words. So I won't look. The door swings open. Ellie's protest dies in her throat as Kai strides into the room, his head bowed slightly with a hand shielding his eyes. I press a palm to my mouth and smother the laugh tickling my tongue as the king walks towards me. His gaze is on the shifting feet beneath him, while mine is on the bowl of porridge clutched between his fingers. When Kai stops before me, I look down into the soup of oats speckled with fruit. He can't see my smile. You added blueberries. It pained me greatly. Your bravery is inspiring, I croon. His hand drops from that beautiful face beneath to display dark lashes aimed at the floor. And selfish. Dimples frame his curved lips. I want something in return. I cross my arms. And what would that be? A yes at the end of that aisle today. The words are quick, a rush of uncertainty I'm so unused to hearing in Kai's voice. My heart aches at the veiled worry he wears. After finally letting himself feel for someone, he fears I'll walk away. A king stands before me, stripped bare, and back to the boy who was forced to believe love was a weakness. Gently, I slipped the warm bowl from his fingers and set it on the floor beside me. Then, his face is in my hands, his brow creasing at the feel of my touch. At the end of a blade, I would love you. Until it pierced my throat, I would say yes to you. The tear that slips down his cheek coaxes one from my own eye. Kai's voice is rough with emotion as he murmurs, You're quite the poet, darling. I laugh, my vision blurring with the scrunching of my brimming gaze. Some fool inspired me. We spend the next several moments basking in this limbo between our present and the future awaiting us at the base of a willow tree. We laugh. We pretend not to cry. We say our goodbyes. One due to the temporary distance Ellie insists between us, and the other in memory of our final moments before forever. Long after Kai strides from my chamber, and Ellie has fussed with my appearance for the final time, a second knock sounds at my door. Lenny asks if I am ready. I don't hesitate before taking his arm. All this time I've been calling you princess. Red hair ripples with the slow shake of his head. Who the hell would have guessed you were one? I throw him a playful glare. Yes, how very shocking. It felt good to share the truth with him and those closest to me. But I keep the secret of my royal blood tucked close to my heart, hidden from the kingdom who has already begun to accept me. I say nothing of the forgotten princess I am, so as not to draw Kai's legitimacy into question. My whole life, I have been ordinary, and I no longer feel the need to change that. Look, Lenny continues, undeterred, I'm more interested in the fact that I might actually be psychic. I mean, how did I know to call you that? I snort. What next? Are you going to discover I'm truly a cockroach? Very funny, Majesty. He shakes his head at me, even while wearing a smile. We step out into the blooming garden and begin our stroll through the winding paths. Passing the fountain I now look at fondly, Lenny asks, This is the wedding you want, P, right? I glance over at my friend. He returns the smile, lighting my face and flushing my cheeks. My admission is bold and freeing and daring death to make me regret it. Desperately.
Chapter 75. Kai. She walks towards me, looking like a dream I wish to never wake from. Her fingers clutch a collection of twining stems. Above, poppies' red petals bleed into pink roses while the deep blue of dainty forget-me-nots weaves between. I stand beside the willow's mighty trunk, beside my brother and sister. I'm swallowed in the swaying branches, lost in a tangle of slender leaves. It is only me and the ghosts of those I love, awaiting Peyton beneath the willow. She, too, steps into our future alone, but not entirely. Her slippers pad slowly across the stretch of soft grass. Adina hugs her tightly atop the plain dress she wears. The memory of a father encircles the thumb wrapped around her bouquet. Time slows long enough to let me bask in a moment I've only ever dreamed of. She is my dream. She is my piece of paradise. She is my inevitable. My composure begins to crumble with every step she takes towards me. Tears well in my eyes, but I smile for her. Always for her. Thunder rumbles beyond the willow's embrace, but Peyton's gaze never leaves mine. Happily, I drown in it. A bead of water splatters Peyton's nose. She laughs. Rain drips from the canopy of leaves to sprinkle us in the brewing storm. Damp hair curls atop my forehead. Jax lifts his palm towards the crying sky. Ellie stares lovingly at her queen. Gail's tears mingle with the rain while Andy rests her head on the cook's shoulder. Lenny winks at the drenched bride who passes. This is no grand wedding. We wear no crowns or jewels. This is the gathering of loved ones and the spirits of those left behind. This is a union of souls that ache to be stitched together. Lightning cracks through the sky behind Peyton. Her steps do not falter. When she stops before me, I nearly fall to my knees. I am forever awed by the mere presence of her. As she passes her bouquet to Ellie, I grab her hands, willing to let her lead me wherever she pleases. There is no rambling scholar, no lengthy vows exchanged. It is simply us, standing before fate and defying the odds. Pei's commitment to me lacks any hesitancy. I do. My heart stutters. It is broken and healing and missing Kit beside me, but it is full. She is what my scarred heart beats for. I tilt her face towards mine before clutching it in my trembling hands. I do. My voice is heavy with emotion. In every lifetime, I do. Her lips find mine, sealing the promise between us. Thunder claps alongside our family. I breathe in my bride. She tastes like my forever. We walk from beneath the willow's canopy, hand in hand, king and queen, shadow and flame, poet and muse. Tears fill the eyes of those around us, accompanied by clapping and followed with laughter. The small group parades behind, wet branches grasping at our clothing as we push through the leaves. Lightning is quick to greet us. We step into the clearing beyond, damp grass beneath our feet and a raging storm above. I have something for you, I murmur against Pei's ear. She smiles up at me. Oh? Jax hands me the dripping crown with a beaming grin. I hold the twining circlet of roses between us, watching Peyton's gaze widen. Then I'm placing that delicate crown onto her damp hair. She gapes at me in shock. You finally did it. You made a flower crown. I just needed more practice. Water drips from her lashes with every astonished blink. All that hard work for me. For my queen. I correct with a soft kiss to her lips. And then we dance. Peyton is spinning in my arms, laughing in the spitting rain. The hem of her dress is muddy, but she can't seem to take her eyes off me long enough to notice. I push wet hair from her face, straighten her crown of roses, hold the hand that now wears my brother's ring. We cling to each other while shadowed figures dance around us. Laughter envelops our swaying forms, warming us despite the chilled rain. I hold Peyton against me, my wife, my eye in the storm. She slips a hand into one of the many pockets of her vest before shouting through the rumbling thunder. "You're not the only one who brought a gift." I track the movement, blinking in the rain as she pulls a stem of forget-me-nots from the soaked fabric. Peyton Azer's smile is dangerous as she reaches up to tuck the flowers behind my ear. "So you don't forget who I am," she whispers against my lips. "And what am I?" I trace my thumb along her bottom lip. "A fool? A cocky bastard?" Her voice is steady. "You are mine, Malachi." Water drips from my lashes, some from her nose. "I always have been," I murmur, "until whatever the hell." The laugh that spills from her soft lips has my breath catching. She tips her head back to smile at the storming sky, unburdened by the mention of Adina. "Until whatever the hell," she echoes, letting that piercing gaze fall back to me. Beads of water trail down her bared neck as I greedily take in the curve of her mouth. Like a reflex, reverence softens my gaze, coats my voice. There's that smile I've been waiting to memorize. Peyton blinks up at me in the rain, grin widening. She twines slick arms around my neck before her cold nose is brushing mine. "And you have all the time in the world to admire it."
Chapter 76. Peyton. 5 years later. I breathe in the fresh air, sun soaking my skin. A blue sky hangs above the yawning stretch of crops. I shield my gaze with a hand, determined to find the end of this daunting cornfield. Somewhere more interesting. Kai's voice is a drawl beside me. My eyes flick to him, combing over the stubble clinging to his strong jaw. "What?" I ask, fearing the answer. "Somewhere more interesting," he repeats with a sigh and crossing of his arms. "That is likely where this field ends." I scoff before I scold. Tando has been good to us. That being said, I glance around the nearly deserted brick road we stand on. Let's settle this year's trade agreements and get the hell out of here. Kai takes a step towards me, blotting out the sun with his broad shoulders. "Admit it, darlin', you hate it out here more than I do." I'm spinning the rings that hug each of my thumbs. "What makes you say that?" "The quiet." He brushes a long strand of hair from my face. "The open space. The lack of handsome strangers to rob." I give him a flat look. "You're right. Not a single handsome face for miles." "Easy, Azer. Don't hurt your foot with such a blatant lie." He flicks the tip of my nose gently. "I said strangers, and we both know I am nothing of the sort." "No, you're not." I grab his hands and pull him close. Then I'm murmuring, "But that doesn't mean I can't still rob you." I lift his wedding band between our close faces. It was simple, really, snatching the silver ring from his thumb. He wears his symbol of our union on the same finger I do, a reminder of our love, and the love of a lost brother. Kai shakes his head at me before grasping my hand. "Still as vicious as ever. You love it. I love you," he murmurs. "Foolishly." He kisses me, and still my heart flutters at the brush of his lips. Pulling away, I glance over at the field of corn waving beside us. You still feel her, right? Kai's lips twitch into a smile. She's on her way back. Then he raises his voice towards the sea of corn. Did you find it? A small body tumbles from the maze of crop to scurry towards us. That shock of gray hair blows around her face, obscuring the excitement displayed there. With a large ear of corn gripped between tiny fingers, she runs into her father's awaiting arms. That's the one you were looking for? Kai asks, examining her loot. You're sure this is the best corn in all of Tando? I'm sure, Daddy. She shoves the vegetable into his hand and promptly reaches for me. I pull her into my arms, trying to ignore how big she has gotten in the last 3 years. Resting on my hip, she runs her small fingers through the hair falling down my back. Her own is an ashy blend of Kai's ebony waves and my silver strands. With gray hair and muted blue eyes, our little girl is a messy mixture of 2 strangers who fell in love. What else did you find on your adventure? I ask while straightening her rumpled clothes. Bugs, she states indifferently. Big, fat ones. Kai nods. I'm sure. Now did you bring anything else back? He inches closer, making her giggle. Maybe some new freckles? She knows this game, and Kit loves it. Kai presses his lips to the bridge of her nose, over and over until she is squealing. Once he has finished peppering our daughter with kisses, he turns to me. Is it time for that recount? I roll my eyes. Is that not what you did last week? His grin has my cheeks flushing. One can never be too sure. The first soft kiss is to my cheek. 1, he murmurs. The second is on the bridge of my nose. 2. The third is when I lift my chin and press my lips to his. I smile against his mouth. Your recount will have to wait. Let's get the hell out of here, remember? We head down the quiet road, Kit's hands in each of our own. The cottages here look lonely between the fields that accompany them. It is quiet in Tando, eerily so, and I'm grateful when we finally step into the city's market. Though it is certainly not the bustling loot I'm so accustomed to, the relief I feel at the sight of milling bodies is shocking. Kit skips between us as we point out the muted colors all around. Tando's banners are a soft yellow that seeks no attention. The market is docile and brimming with kind individuals. I quietly envy those so content in such quaintness. But Loot is my home, and Ilia is thriving around it. The kingdom is open, our borders welcoming of trade and travelers. Ordinaries live alongside their elite neighbors, growing bolder despite their lack of abilities. It was all I ever wanted to see as a powerless girl. The slums are my current project. Crumbling buildings are being restored, allowing more shops and homes to border the alleyways. Feasts are held regularly at the castle to welcome the people of Ilia into our home. The once crushing divide between elites and ordinaries is slowly smoothing into something promising. I take in the quiet street, the uniformity between each sturdy brick shop. This is certainly not my kingdom. My Ilia is lively and drenched in color. It is worn and healing and home. Kit, honey, stay close, I call after watching her tear down the street, brandishing an ear of corn. Kai stares after her with a shake of his head. She looks just like you. Only someday soon, that corn will be replaced with a blade. I smile sweetly at him. And she can practice using it on you. You have prepared me well, he reminds. His arm tugs me close. I rest my head on his shoulder. We watch our daughter skip in the pooling sunlight. Until a flash of lilac has my gaze flicking to a shadowed corner of the street. I stare into the face of a ghost. She stares back. Scarred flesh climbs up the side of her neck. Mutilated skin stretches across her features before disappearing into that lilac hair. Only one half of her sharp face bears the remnants of my hatred. I can still feel her soft skin beneath my palm, feel the heat of that raging fire I forced her into. I expect that rage to resurface now. I expect to crave that revenge on Adina's behalf and ache to finish what I apparently did not the first time. Blair seems to anticipate the same, because I watch her shoulders tense beneath the cloak slung over them. But I feel nothing. I do nothing. We stare at each other for several beats of my clamoring heart. In another lifetime, she was my enemy. Here, she is a stranger. I do not wish to avenge Adina any longer. I wish for her to rest. So with a slight nod of my head, I let Blair go. She returns the silent peace offering with a dip of her chin.
Mommy, Daddy, look what I found.
Kit steals my attention with a flurry of limbs and the waving of what must be the best rock in all of Tando. Kai scoops her into his arms, feigning astonishment for the gift she sets in his palm. I, too, look impressed by Kit's finding as I smooth her wild hair. And when I finally glance over at that shadowed corner, the ghost is gone. Kai catches my flitting gaze, holds it gently, tilts his head. Not so vicious, little thing, he murmurs endearingly. Of course, the wielder knew she was here. I blow out a breath before stealing our daughter from his arms. Don't get used to it. I wouldn't want to. We continue down the sun-drenched street. Onward, always. A king, a queen, a princess, a rock, and an ear of corn. Those we have lost walk alongside us, their memory warming our scarred hearts. We are those we loved. I tilt my face to the sky and let the sun brush warm fingers over it. The soft rays are a comfort I embrace like an old friend. My husband stands at my side, just as he always has and always will. He smiles, and it's the one meant solely for me. Kit copies her father, though only one stolen dimple peeks out on her right cheek. I flick them both lightly on the nose. This draws a giggle from Kit, and that ceaseless look of reverence from Kai. I smile back, just as Adina taught me to. This life is sweet, like honey.
Epilogue. Kit. There is no flash of light, no bang or slow fade. Kit feels cheated. That is what he has always been promised, after all, some great entrance into the world beyond the one he has drifted from. But this is none of that. This is nothing at all. The first time he opens his eyes after death has closed them, Kit tries desperately to make something of the void before him. He squints at it, walks within it, tries to grip it between his fingers, but nothing is nothing. And the lack of something is frustrating. It's like the void that occurs behind one blinked eye. No color, no shape, no anything. Nothing. And that was not the death he had anticipated. The former king wanders in the empty afterlife, not quite conscious, but never entirely aware. He often wonders, there is little else to do here, if he is meant to wait for someone. Perhaps his brother, perhaps Peyton, if she ever wishes to see him again. So when death arrives, Kit only feels comfort, not fear or confusion like a saner mind might. No. Kit recognizes the face of death, knows her by name. Mara. The dead king reaches for the woman who dragged him into the abyss of nothingness, because he only feels relief at her presence. Death stands before him, her form so unlike the ominous tales humans so like to spin. For starters, she is just that, a she. Despite an eternity of stealing souls, not one of them anticipates death to be a woman. There was once a time when this vexed Mara, but she has since grown accustomed to a dying face drenched in disbelief. Is it so shocking to feel anything but warmth from a woman's touch? Can a pretty face not drag you into the afterlife all the same?
Hello, Kit.
Death says curtly.
I warned you of this fate.
I know, he answers earnestly. But this isn't the moors. Where am I? Mara sweeps a strand of chestnut hair from her dark eyes. No, she doesn't look like death.
This is your peace.
Her voice is chilled. This shouldn't surprise Kit.
It seems you accepted your fate long before dying.
The king frowns. I guess I did. Then he attempts a weak, but I'm happy you're here. I didn't think you would want to see me.
I can't stay long.
Mara takes a breath before feigning politeness.
How are you enjoying peace?
Kit sweeps his gaze over the expanse of darkness. I'm still lonely.
You didn't have to be.
Mara spits.
This is your own doing.
Before drifting back into the darkness, Death leaves the king with a veiled goodbye. The broken words are nearly swallowed up in the nothingness.
But I'll let you go gently.
Alone, once again. Kit thinks on the life left behind. He does not blame Kai for the unfortunate end he met. After all, it was he who was meant to dodge the enforcer's strike. Or Death for her help in it. Neither does he let anger fester towards the girl who stole his brother from him. Resentment tends to be cumbersome in the afterlife. Since relieving himself of it, little by little, Death has felt far more freeing. In fact, without the plague muddling his mind and stealing his sanity, he now finds his last few weeks among the living seem wasted. He wishes futilely to try it all again. Perhaps he wouldn't let power consume him this time around. But this is wishful thinking, and regret is what keeps the dead rolling over in their graves. He does ponder, frequently remember, how this is meant to be peace. Is he a monster worth such gaping loneliness? Kit often shouts into the void, pleads his case to this shunning afterlife, but it gives no answer. Death does not return, and this gives him none of the peace he was promised. Kit never sits in the same spot of eternity. In fact, he never knows where he is or where he is going. Still, he stares up, assumably, into the nothingness. There is no ground beneath his feet, but he reclines all the same. And just as he has for however long he's been dead, Kit wishes for company. A soft light above startles the dead beneath. Kit squints up at it, finding two shimmering dots among the sheet of nothingness. They wink down at him like stars plucked from the sky above Ilya.
Hello, Kit.
A light says softly. It's a female voice, as warm and bright as the glow she emits. At the startling sound of his name, Kit stands to blink up at the oddities. Who are you? It seems a silly question to ask, as he has little use for the information, but that gentle voice graces him with something that is not quite an answer.
We thought you might like some company.
Kit nods. I would, thank you. Death has been kind to him. There is a long pause. Do you think I'm a monster? He isn't sure why he feels the need to ask the pair of stars. The female's voice is sad.
No. You are your father's sins.
You're not alone in that. This reassurance comes from the second star in a deep voice. But I am alone here, Kit says solemnly. You two have one another. The softer star informs.
Life ripped us apart.
Death brought us together. The rougher one finishes. There is something so vaguely familiar about the pair of glowing orbs. Kit doesn't ponder this absurdity further. Instead, he sits once again, folding his legs beneath him. Would you? He feels oddly shy. Would you stay with me a while? Kit could have sworn it looked as though the stars were smiling at him. That warm, bubbly voice fills the void between them in response.
Until you see your brother again, if you like.
The deep voice rumbles above him. We are all waiting for someone.